Okay, I'm just going to test now and see if I'm in the right run. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, that's okay. All right then. If anyone wants to come and join me today, more than welcome. But today, let's just catch up and have a chat. I'm going to talk about anything today. If there's anyone wants to join me and have any questions, if not, I'm only going to stick around while there's people watching or there's people want to ask me some questions. So I did have someone ask me on someone else's stream the other day. It's yesterday, I think. To ask me about my story because I don't really have a video up on my channel that actually speaks about my story. So if you are interested, I can tell you that now, or let me know and I can make a video for you talking about my background story. Other than that, yeah, like I try not to sort of spend too much time thinking about it too much because I like to sort of keep moving forward, um, keep looking for the next thing to do. Yeah. So other than that, yeah, if you want something, you want to ask a question, go right ahead. Um, I'll tell you a little bit about my background, I guess, if you are interested. Um, my story is quite long. It sort of started a long time ago. Um, before I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma, like back in 2011, I was living in Japan. I'd been living in Japan for about 10 years. Um, we built up a business and we built up a whole life, in 10 years. You spend, living in a country, you sort of, you build up everything that you sort of, you do in life, chasing after the dreams and, you build a home and you build a business and so on. But we're living in a prefecture or state. They call them prefectures over in Japan. It's called Miyagi. And Miyagi is, well, this Sendai, the city, the capital city of Miyagi, is 350 kilometers north of Tokyo. It's a great city. It's not a very big city, but it's it's a good sized city that I like to live in. I would absolutely move back to Japan. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Um, I mean, Shiga. Oh, cool. Myself now, almost 10 years living here as well. Awesome. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I go back to Japan as often as I can. Um, and like my wife, she's Japanese and her family, so we always go back and visit them. But yeah, definitely the goal is for me to get back to Japan and to get back to living in Japan. Yeah. So I'm definitely going back. I love it there. I think it's a wonderful place to live. People are friendly, polite, and I love the culture. I love the country itself. I love going to the beaches there and going to the islands and all the temples and stuff like that too. And it's just a cool place to live. It's very comfortable. I always found it very comfortable to live in Japan and very easy. Everything's very efficient as well. But when I was living there, my last year there, um, the 9.1 magnitude earthquake hit us, and then the subsequent tsunami as well. And that was huge. Like that was huge. I mean, normally earthquakes don't really bother me that much, but this one was just, it was, this one lasted for 6.5 minutes almost. Um, the aftershocks for months afterwards, some of the aftershocks reached over 8 magnitude as well. It got to the point like we got so used to these earthquakes, these aftershocks afterwards, that anything under 7 magnitude, we didn't bother even getting out of bed for, right? There was no point even. It didn't bother us that much. Cost of living is much lower compared to Australia. Oh, absolutely, yeah, and as well as in Canada, my home. Oh, okay, you're from Canada, yeah, definitely. Like cost of living in Japan is incredibly cheap. When you think about, even public services, like electricity prices, water, and everything like that. Taxes much lower. Property values, are more reasonable, like, more logical as well. Australia's like the average mean for a house in Brisbane at the moment is like $1 million, and that's for like a barely livable house. It's absolutely insane. Like you can get, I mean, there are places in Japan they give them to you. Yeah, it's the cost of living is incredible. Like in Japan, it's incredibly cheap. It's a fantastic place to live. It really is. It can be a bit scary, with like talking about the earthquake and tsunami. I we lived in Sendai. We lived between the city and the coast, so kind of in the middle. All right, so we're all very close to the water. And my business was actually under the water that day, actually, after the quake hit. So that was just wiped out. That was all gone. So, but it was a tough year. It was really cold. Actually, it was really amazing to me. The weather changed that day. It was coming into spring. It was the 11th of March, right, in 2011, and it was starting to warm up. Starting to get pretty warm. But then after that earthquake, like when this was going on, like it's hard to really explain to people, like, because it's, I mean, like literally like across the road from me, like next to me, there was sinkholes opening up underneath cars and swallowing cars, right? There were power poles, buildings coming down. There was it was the roads were kind of like waving like this, and like manholes would sort of rise up out of the ground. Some of them are like 4 feet out of the ground, right, in the middle of the road. It was crazy. It's absolutely one of the scariest thing I've ever seen. But and it just continued, for months afterwards, with 8 magnitude aftershocks and stuff like that. So, and then of course, finding food and water for several months and so on. That was one of the funniest things. Like the Australian embassy, for example, they kept calling me and harassing me and telling, like, "Oh, you have to go back to Australia, and you have to leave everything behind. You can only take your wife in one bag of clothes, and we'll take you to Tokyo and then take you to Australia, but you have to pay for it, right?" I'm like, I'm not going to leave my whole life behind. For me, it was important to rebuild, and my family and so on. But they never once, offered to bring out any food or water, you know. So we spent the better part of that year, for the first several months, it was trying to find water. We couldn't stay in our house because of the damage, so we were staying at my in-laws' house, right? And there was no power, no water, or anything like that. So we were sort of huddled together. It was freezing cold, snowing, and we're sort of huddled together on the floor in the dark and trying to sleep in between the aftershocks and all the emergency services, sirens, and everything going on around us as well. And then, through the day, we would be on the bicycles trying to find water, and, following people to water trucks and things like that. Um, and then trying to find food, places that might have some food for us that we could buy, right? And so on, for myself, my wife, and her grandmother and her mother, right? So then, like that year is like pretty much just rebuilding all after all that. It was a really tough year, and we lost friends, and it wasn't just the material stuff that we lost. It was, I mean, which was a lot, but it was more important. We lost friends, and that was tough. But yeah, I got sick of the harassment from like Australia, so I was like, eventually, like when it got to December, I decided to come back to Australia. Like, it was a real struggle for me that year because I had health issues as well. I was trying to do all this stuff, and I was getting colds and flus really easily. I had a really weak immune system, but at the time, I just sort of put it down to the situation. There's a lot of stress. There was, you know, poor diet, a lot of work, and so on involved. But then I decided, well, I'll come back to Australia in December for Christmas to visit my family, just to let them know that I was fine, right? And of course, when I got off the plane, I was sick as a dog. I had a bad flu, had a bad fever. So I decided I'd go see a doctor and get checked up. And that led to like test after test for a week and a half. And then they sent my test to a hospital here in the city in Brisbane. And they asked me to come in and see them. And then that led to another, like, I was supposed to be here. I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks, all right, for a vacation. That was in 2012, right? January 2012. But in January, it's a long story, but January 2012, I was diagnosed with very high stage 4 follicular lymphoma. Um, I had a large tumor wrapped around my aorta. It was about the size of a football. It had been crushing all the other organs around me, in my abdomen, because I was very fit and I was very lean actually. So I thought I was healthy. I thought I was very fit and healthy, and because I was very fit. I was still doing gym sessions the week before I came to Australia, and like doing stair sprints up in temples and stuff like that. But I had a large tumor wrapped around my aorta. All of my lymph nodes, every single one of them, were malignant tumors. And I had stage 3 kidney disease. I only had one kidney working at 12% capacity. And I had liver disease. The cancer was everywhere else. Of course, it was through my lymphatic system and my bone marrow, spleen, everything. So in the end, they said, look, it was a race between the cancer and the kidneys as which one was going to kill me first, right? And my kidneys were kind of winning, I think. Just 12% flow capacity. So they said at best, without treatment, you might have 3 months, at best, if I managed to eat properly in that 3 months, right? Yeah, so that meant that everything that I just spent the last year rebuilding, I just lost again, right? So that meant I lost everything this time. So I couldn't go back to Japan. My business, my career, my house, everything is just gone. So that meant I was homeless. My wife and we were homeless. She came over to Australia to help me, and then we started treatment. We started very rough chemotherapy treatment. It was called R-CHOP. It didn't do much, honestly, in total. Like, it didn't start working until like the 5th treatment, and it was brutal. It was really brutal, because I had so much organ damage and everything else as well. Like, it wasn't just that was the cancer is like I already had a lot of organ damage, so it was a real struggle for me to get through the chemotherapy. And then at the end of that, like my blood cleared up after 8 cycles. Anything on R-CHOP, on a heavy dose R-CHOP, anything more than 8 cycles, you kill the patient. That's just, you can't do any more than that. That's the maximum. That it got me down to a manageable stage 2. The tumor was still there around my aorta, but my lymph nodes were okay. They went back to functioning. Then I did radiation for a month on the large tumor to try and shrink it down, which again didn't do a whole lot because the tumor was still, I mean, it did help. Like it went down to about 50% of what the original size was. So then I did about 2 years. Well, they put me on a 2-year program for rituximab, right, which is a management. It's like the first part of the chemo that you get in R-CHOP, and they use this to try and keep you in a longer remission period, right? It's never been proven, by the way. They've never actually proven that this prolongs your remission. But why let go? Why let a patient go when you can give them more treatment, right? But we only got 14 months into that, and then in January 2014, which is exactly 2 years to the day almost, they said even while going through this treatment, they're supposed to keep me in remission. I was back to stage 4 again. I was getting regular tests, on a weekly basis, and it seemed okay until, December 2013, and then in January 2014, I was back to square one. I was back to very high stage 4. My kidneys were shutting down again. My liver was shutting down. All of my organs were. The tumor was growing again. So, and of course, all my lymph nodes were tumors again as well. So that led to a clinical trial, and then that didn't work at all. I did 8 cycles again, 8 full cycles, and that trial actually almost killed me a number of times. Like right from the first treatment, I had neutropenic fevers. I had it ended up every treatment I was in hospital for almost a week because of the fevers and other things that came along with it as well. It also filled up both my arms actually from the wrist, like all the way from the bottom of my palm all the way up to my deltoids up through here. It was all full of really thick, long blood clots, and the blood clots were so big and so raised, like they were like about this far out of my skin. That's how raised they were. It was really scary. So then they had to put a port into my chest to feed it directly into my heart. That was like after the 3rd treatment, right? So it was really scary, like this what it just done to my arms, and then they wanted to feed it straight into my heart. But I did the 8 cycles, and it did nothing actually. It did actually the cancer just kept spreading, the tumor kept growing, and then we did a stem cell transplant. Now, that was a really heavy dose transplant. We did like 7 days straight, 24 hours of chemotherapy to try and kill it. But it kills everything, right? Yeah, we just froze a bit. Yeah, there we go. So that left me, I actually I stopped breathing throughout the transplant. I got an infection. I had what they call a Hickman line, because I had a tube in this side, and I had 2 tubes on this side going directly into the heart, and this tube had an infection in it. That was crazy. Like that sent me like I went AFib. My heart started racing and then stopping, and I stopped breathing a number of times. I didn't know really. I'd pass out and then I'd sort of wake up with all these, people standing around me trying to, with mask on and trying to get me breathing and so on and so on. And that happened a number of times. It happened so often that a nurse started coming in every 10 to 20 minutes just to check that I was still breathing. And that dried me out so badly. That was like it took me 6 weeks to get out um, of hospital, and then I literally just swapped, the hospital bed for my bed, really, and that's where I stayed for a few years because after that transplant, they didn't expect me to last till Christmas. After that, I got out of hospital in late October in 2014, and they didn't expect me to last till Christmas because all of my organs were shutting down. Like I was so cooked. I had layers and layers of skin coming out from the inside because everything was burnt inside. All my organs, all my throat, my esophagus, everything was burnt so badly. I had so much radiation coming out of me. I was red, like completely bright red for months afterwards. Layers of skin coming out of my mouth, my tongue, and everything like that. So I had teeth falling out. And I couldn't move. I was pretty much almost paralyzed. I couldn't even. My hands were so weak and tight. Like I just trying to open my hands was painful, and I couldn't even hold a cup, sort of thing. So I had to rely on my wife to sort of carry me to the bathroom or to feed me like a child, And so, from there, it's just been trying to recover, and it's like, um, for so long, I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know, um, and going through treatments and going through medications and I had so many medications. It was unbelievable. I had a long list of medications I had to take every day that I just couldn't do it. It was a shocking thing, but never again. I'll never let that happen again. D Lee, gee, I haven't seen you for a while. How you doing? How do you see? Just wanted to say hello, hello. Let's go. Oh, okay. It's 2 a.m. Wow. Take care then. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Really great to see you. Actually, very good. Thank you very much. I'm feeling very good. I've got a lot going on this year. Actually, if you read my Substack, I've got some big stuff going. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, my man? 8 a.m. here. We're gonna try and get back to sleep. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. How are you doing? You seem to be anti-aging. Yeah. What's your secret? Well, yeah, the same secret as you, man. Um, it, it's the lifestyle, it's the habits it's making me, feel a lot better. Actually, I've been actually to be honest, you know, for years, like for years and years after the treatment, even while I was recovering, and even when first got back to the gym, like 5 years later, I managed to go back to the gym. Because it took me a couple of years to start walking again. Um, but it would be like if I was awake for more than 2 hours, I would get a fever, and like I would get a fever, and I'd need to sleep. So anything like I couldn't do anything for more than 2 hours. I couldn't even watch a movie or, it would drain me that much that I would get fevers. I'd have to take medication to get rid of the fever and to help sleep and so on. But like I've been, yeah, since then though, I feel great. Like even today, I've just been on the go like all day long since 4:30 this morning, and like it's now 6:30 p.m. here. I feel great, you know. It's the lifestyle. Hope your wife is doing well as well. Thank you very much, Dee. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Afternoon, Josephine. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm so sorry that you had to go through all that. Thanks, Dee. It's I mean, I really don't. Like now. I mean, it was quite. I mean, there's a lot of trauma in those years, right? But it's not like I really regret most of it. Like I mean, of course, there would be things that I would change now. All right, because there's a lot. Like I know a lot more about, especially like different protocols that I have now, like my daily protocols for recovery, for example. Even if I had the original diagnosis, like through the original, like the first year of treatment, I would definitely have done things differently. Okay. But at the time, like you trust the experts that tell you that it's not your fault. It's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your hands. It doesn't matter what you eat. Doesn't matter what you do. This is it. This is as good as it gets for the rest of your life, right? And that sort of takes it out of your hands. Like it's really, it's like you just think, well, why bother then? You instantly give up. And so I think, there are that I sort of regret. Like I should have done more from the start. But and there's shoulda, woulda, coulda. There's no point sort of beating yourself up about what you think you should have done in the past, sort of thing. You just learn from those mistakes, don't you? And I have learned. I've been very, very lucky that I could learn from those mistakes. That I could learn those lessons that I've gotten now. And I've spent the last 11 years now that I've been in remission for more than 11 years, and I've spent that entire 11 years perfecting these protocols, like finding and searching and finding the way to do this properly. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasted a lot of time as well. I think I could have done more, but I mean, like if you want to, if you want to regret anything, like I regret the original diagnosis. Like I would have, it would have been great if I could have avoided that in the first place. Spent the years before that doing these same protocols. Like hitting the ice baths and doing the breath work and just eating meat and far less processed foods, trying to like the fitness industry. As a strength coach, it was like you put too much trust into manufactured processed supplements. Like too much trust into what's the latest thing that's going to help you build muscle, sort of thing. Well, I did anyway. So and you can get away with that sort of stuff for a certain period of time. Low fat diets and all that sort of stuff. But when I spent most of my life on a plant-based diet. Growing up, that's what my parents, my mother especially, sort of wanted us to do, or highly processed junk food. Like especially like my old man is like that's all we pretty much ate. And then in adult life, I should have done more, but like I said, like you can't beat yourself up over things that it's all shoulda, woulda, coulda, and hindsight's always 2020. All you can do is focus on the future and focus on now, like because now is really all you have. right? So in this moment, I feel great. I feel healthy. I'm strong. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting more flexible again. I am working on myself. I am developing myself. And that is what is important, right? And I'm learning new experiences. And that to me is what life is really about. I'm not so much, when I was younger, it's all about chasing the dream, like chasing the business, chasing the house and cars and all that sort of stuff, right? But that all got taken away very, very quickly anyway, like in one diagnosis, right? Or a 6-minute earthquake. So I I can't say like this is going to. I mean, there's nothing to say that I'm still not going like the cancer's not going to come back, or that you know the damage that it's done to my organs or anything like that. It might they might fail, later in the future, like my heart, for example, or even my brain or my kidneys. Um, so it doesn't mean that like now that I'm healthy, I'm going to have a great long life, but I'm healthy right now, and that's what really matters, right? And I'll keep this routine, and I keep evolving this routine, and keep doing what I am doing, and hopefully that will just, and then one day it'll just. I don't want to spend the last 10 years of my life in bed, or the last 6 months of my life in bed. I would much rather to just go, in one like blink of an eye sort of thing, like have a heart attack or something. That doesn't worry me at all. Um, the whole thing, like I think, people today, especially, are crazed about longevity, right? Um, and no one's going to live forever. Like that's the thing about life. No one gets out of it alive, right? So it's, and I think they're sort of missing the point. Like they're not actually experiencing life from day to day. From day to day, they're trying so much that what's the next best thing, what's the next big thing that's going to make me live longer, and they're working so hard to try and live longer that they're actually missing out on life. You know, it's kind of crazy, you know? But that's what it is, Um, and of course, when I was younger, I especially one thing I one good lesson I did get out of it too is that not to trust the medical system, right? The health system, the fitness industry, or any of these so-called, professionals and scientists and doctors and so on and so on. Because I mean, people in this space, surely they know by now that just because they got clickbait doctor in front of their name doesn't mean that they actually know what they're talking about. You know, but that's the way it is. Unfortunately, we've been sort of indoctrinated to believe that the hospital system or the medical industry, which is what it is, it's an industry, right? Knows what's best for us, and that we believe that they have our health in their best interest. Of course, they don't. They don't make any money from you being healthy, you know. And the same with the food industry. The food industry doesn't feed us. Big corporations and so on, they feed pharma. So, um, I mean, there's a lot of great lessons that I've gotten out of it. So it's been I'm not going to say it's like hasn't been a good experience. It certainly hasn't been a great one, that's for sure. But I have learned a lot out of it, though. And that's, I think, is what's important, right? So there it is, I guess. And that's most of my, well, there's some of my story. I think there's a lot involved in when you're going through treatments, and you got nowhere to live. For the first year was like just after treatments, go back to friends' houses or parents' house and stay in the spare room, or throwing up with a heap of chemo out of someone's window or off their balcony sort of thing. It's it's not a very comfortable sort of situation. Um, Trying to find a place to live, not making any money, not being able to work. Yeah, that was years of struggle. But yeah, it's a long story. There's so much that happens in a very short sort of period of time. Really, when you think about 3 years of treatment, chemotherapy treatments, and then even like in total, like if you think about like from 2012 January to January now, it's what 13 years, right? Um, or 14 years, yeah. So, 14 years is that kind of a short period, really. I mean, you're talking about over the life, this, over a life period, over a lifelong sort of period, it goes very quick. It goes very quickly. So there you go. But a lot happens. A lot can happen in just, like actually that's something the earthquake taught me. 6 minutes can, so much can happen in 6 minutes. We sort of, like we can waste. Time is all relative, isn't it? Like we can waste hours watching TV shows or something like the stuff that you don't even like watching. You just like flicking channels, and you can just waste hours in that sort of period, and get nothing done. But in other situations, like in a 6 minute period of like an earthquake and tsunami, so your whole world can change. Yeah. But yeah, I think, but definitely like the goal for me, it'd be to go back to living in Japan. It's a very comfortable place to live. Um, a lot of fun actually. Japan is very fun. It's a fun place to live, and I think there's always something to do. You know, never get bored there. Uh, and certainly, the cost of living is so much easier. So much easier. So. Mm. Yeah, it's a great place actually. Um, but hopefully soon. I do plan on going back to Japan very soon, actually this year sometime, for at least a vacation. Well, actually, it's a um, bit of an experience actually. So I'm hoping I can actually. There's a great. It's in a place called Yamagata. It's actually Yamagata is actually the prefecture in Japan, but there's a temple at a place that's actually called Yamadera, and this place is so beautiful. I've been there many times, um, but it's so high up. Like you get to this beautiful little village it's sort of the village is separated by this river, and like it's just a beautiful little town. Right? It's surrounded by cherry blossoms, and it gets really heavy snowfall every year. But you walk up this hill. It's quite a steep hill for which a lot of them are, because Japan is very hilly and small country. But you walk up this hill, and then you get to a staircase, and that like staircase just takes you straight up this cliff face. It's like 100 feet up. Like it's huge. Like it is so high up that I mean, there's actually rest stops along the way because most people can't do the stairs, like that many stairs in one hit. So there's actually like 3 rest stops along the way. That's how high up it is. It's huge, really high. But there's a beautiful temple up there, and you get to the top, and the views are absolutely incredible. And they also have like the monks there do like an experience there every year, which I'm hoping to do at one stage. because they they do these meditative breathwork sessions underneath these ice cold waterfalls. It's super cool. It's really just this. It'd just be such a cool experience, I think. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing, man? Couldn't get back to sleep. Hmm? Howdy. Good to have you here, Josephine. Yeah, so like there's there's so many things that you can do in Japan. Like even if you do like there's a lot of touristy stuff that you can do. Like they have Disneyland, they also have Disney Sea, which is the only Disney Sea in the world, actually. Um, quite industrious people, like that whole area where Disneyland is, like near Chiba in Japan, that's all reclaimed land. And they when they built that, they actually extended that island out so that they could build an entire suburb. And there's hotels and all sorts of other things. But just incredible what they build. Absolutely incredible stuff. But then they have like these beautiful natural sort of islands and places that you can go and see. And it's just such a fantastic, pretty, really pretty place, really pretty. Getting a lift to the gym. Excellent for midday. Crashing this morning. Cruising this morning. That's cool. Excellent. Good to see you getting a lift to the gym. That's good, man. So you're taking the bus, eh? You've never heard of Disney Sea? Yeah, Disney Sea is like an all ocean themed sort of Disneyland version, right? And it's really cool actually. When you walk in, it's kind of like actually it's all a lot of it's like based on like the Mediterranean part of Europe, and it's you walk in and you get the Mediterranean harbor, and you've got this little beach, and that the parades, like the Disneyland parades, they have that all on water, it all floats and boats and stuff like that. Really incredible stuff. They even have like they have a great 20,000 leagues under the sea area where they built the volcano, and that's where you have the roller coaster ride inside the volcano. And of course, Captain Nemo's Nautilus, and like it's just so beautiful. It really is. Then you have an Arabian section. You have Little Venice. You have Little New York area. It's really pretty, and it's licensed as well. So you can. There's actually restaurants surrounding the harbor where the Mediterranean harbor part is, and it looks just like you're in Italy, right? It's absolutely beautiful. Um, so you can have a nice dinner with a bit of wine or whatever you want, even beer and stuff like that too. So it's a really beautiful place, actually. I recommend DC's Patreon. You guys haven't. Thanks, Jonathan. I really appreciate that, my man. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I post in Patreon is all free. Actually, I post articles and some videos and stuff like that. So most of that is free. Some of the stuff that sort of cost me a bit, then that's for paid patrons, but most of it's free. Substack as well. Also have links for that. But I also have some of my training protocols in there. Like yesterday, I posted my training protocols for upcoming events. I have. Oh, hey, Annabella, how you doing? Good to see you. Because I'm training for free diving at the moment. So and techniques to help you prolong breath holds and build your CO2 tolerance. Okay, it's a lot of training. Well, I'm doing a lot of breath work at the moment to try and build up my CO2 tolerance. So I've got a list of these training methods that I'm using at the moment. That's on my Patreons as well. So yeah, feel free to go check it out. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is quite beautiful, um, and they have actually you can do a gondola ride. You can have a gondola ride through Little Venice, and it's really cool. Actually, it's very pretty. It's kind of more for the adults, but there's some kids area as well, like um, the the Little Mermaid area and stuff like that. So anything to do with the ocean, like ocean theme, they have in Disney Sea. Even like Donald Duck's area, there's a little harbor. There's like little Donald Duck's boathouse. That's a restaurant. It's quite cool. But it overlooks like a little mini harbor and a lighthouse and everything. It's really cool. Really cool. Yeah. Josephine's always so nice. Thank you very much for the super sticker, Annabelle. I really appreciate that. Annabella is always such a sweetheart. She's always so sweet to everyone. Everyone, you should go check out her channel. Actually, Annabella does some recipes and shows people what she's cooking and stuff like that. If you like that sort of stuff, mhm. Yeah, it is. It is lovely, Annabella. It's really it's quite nice. It's a really pleasant way to spend your day. Actually, it doesn't take really that long to get around Disney Sea. Because most people you go to the Disneyland part of it, but yeah, really cool. You can actually stay in a hotel in Disney Sea, just above the entrance when you walk into Mediterranean Harbor. This is beautiful. Like these are the architecture is just like traditional, like Italian and Venice sort of buildings. Like absolutely stunning. And you can stay in a hotel that actually overlooks the Mediterranean Harbor there. They've got a tall ship on the other side, and like an Arabian castle, and it's really cool. The tall ship sort of it makes a big bang. You can pretend you're firing cannons and stuff like that as well. A lot of fun, actually. Oh, you're fasting today. Fasting to help with the pain. Okay. Yeah. I hope you can. I hope you can help. I hope it helps manage it. I know what it's like. It's pretty tough. Yeah, it is quite magical, really. Uh, yeah, fingers crossed for Annabella. So, oh, you've done 2 days fasting. Well done. Excellent. Is that your longest fast, Annabella? That's very good. Hmm. Well done. Yeah, fasting is, I found it. I don't really do a lot of fasting, but when I do, I actually quite enjoy it. I think the first 24 hours are the most difficult. Um, I haven't done much fasting. Actually, I haven't done any this year because I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of training and stuff. So I have been kind of avoiding it. But you do feel really good after a fast. Actually, I must admit. The longest in years. I did 22 years, 22 days in 2019. Wow. 22 days. Wow. I've done I think it's 5 days. That's my max. Yeah. 22 days. Wow. I'm just thinking how much time you must have saved like without eating for that period. You must have got a lot of stuff done, you know. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm just trying to rehydrate because I've been very active today and it's quite hot here in Australia. Um, oh yeah, very sick back then. Very sick back then. It was an easy fast because of illness. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of bedbound. That's hard. It's kind of easy. I think anyway. I found it kind of easier not eat when I couldn't move, when I was stuck in bed and going through treatments. I think that's one of the things that actually saved me too, is because after each treatment, I couldn't eat, for at least the first week, at least. Like back then, I fasted for longer than 5 days. Like the longest intentional fast has been about 5 days, but through treatments, I fasted for a week and a half to 2 weeks sometimes. So I just didn't feel like eating. It was painful to eat, because every time I had put something in, it would just either come up or go out. So it was painful. So a lot of the time I just didn't. Yeah. But again, vomiting without anything in your stomach is also very, very painful. Yeah. I was nauseous back then. Yeah. I didn't think I could even get to 2 days. I think you did well. Yeah. Nearly 1 kilo of chuck steak on Sunday. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I like chuck steak. Chuck steak's good. It's like the poor man's ribeye, isn't it? Nice and fatty. Except the good thing about the chuck steak is that you're not paying for the bone, So that's all good. Yeah. I like chuck steak. That's one of my favorites, actually. So, but yeah. So just trying to rehydrate. I'm not sure what you guys do for your water, but for hydrating, like my water is always treated. I live out in the country, so I have it's on tank. Like I just collect rainwater, so it doesn't have any fluoride or chlorine or anything like that the city water has. But I still treat it. I still have a reverse osmosis, and I have a hand harvested red sea salt. Okay. And it comes in flakes, so it's less processing. And I put in like a couple of drops of just tiny drops, very, very tiny drops of iodine. Okay. And I only use iodine when I don't get a lot of seafood, because you can actually get a fair amount of iodine from seafood. So, but I haven't had any seafood for a while, not in Australia anyway. It's too expensive and kind of rare actually in Australia, because which is just ridiculous, honestly. All our seafood gets sent overseas, but it's kind of difficult to get any decent seafood in Australia. It's crazy. But when I'm in Japan, well, I eat lots of seafood. It's fantastic. Mm. Let me see. Oh, you have those glasses? Yeah. Yeah, I don't usually use this big one. I usually have a small one, or I sometimes use a copper mug. A copper mug is good. So a little bit of copper as well. Copper's good. Yeah, just in small doses, copper's good. Okay. That's why you don't want to eat a lot of liver sort of thing, because it's too much copper can be a problem. Cooking chuck steak in my slow. Oh, nice, in a slow cooker. Yeah, I can't do tough meat because of wisdom tooth extraction. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's hard when you have teeth problem. Yeah, teeth problem can be quite painful. I haven't had any problem for years though, with my teeth. Thankfully, I've been very lucky. Like going through those, those 3 years of chemo, I never had a tooth problem beforehand. I was very lucky that way as well. But after going through all that chemo, I actually lost 3 teeth. Yeah, like two wisdom teeth on this side. My other wisdom teeth are fine, but and one other top tooth. Yeah, they rot very, because your bones, especially like after chemotherapy or while getting chemotherapy, it destroys all the bone marrow as well. and that's where all your blood cells are, made and so on. So, which is why, like for years, like even now, if I don't do like the way I manage things now is fine, but beforehand, it was a real struggle to get my platelet count up, to get my my blood markers up, and so on. But with breath work, ice bathing, and of course the diet, and the other habits like sunlight and stuff like that, I've managed to bring that blood cell production up. So, and the platelets and so on. So, but it rots your bones, chemotherapy, because it permanently inhibits your bone marrow's ability to produce blood cells and to produce stem cells and so on. So your bones rot, so that's why I had these teeth rot, and I had very weak bones after that. So, but it's such a big difference now. It's incredible. Like I'm even doing plyometric training and stuff like that now, so I have no struggle at all. So it's good. I drink water myself. I have always drank rainwater, tank water. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're lucky that way. Yeah, Australian water is absolutely rancid. It is toxic. They don't put fluoride in the water in Japan, and they have very stringent sort of standards for even their tap water. Okay, and you can taste it. Like when I go back to Japan, I don't mind. I mean, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong, but it tastes a lot better and a lot cleaner. Even just tap water in Japan than here in Australia. You do not. If anyone comes to Australia, you do not want to drink the tap water here. It is absolutely toxic. They have like over the years they've had tests done it. But there's chemotherapy drugs in it. There's birth control drugs in it. There's all kinds of other xenoestrogens in it. There's fluoride, heavy doses of fluoride, even chlorine and other things. It is absolutely it is one of the worst waters in the world, Australian tap water. So do not drink it. What brand of iodine do you use? I will go get it for you. I'll just be a sec. Okay. It is. Okay, this is the iodine I use. It's called Perfect Iodine. Okay, and this will last you years. Okay, because honestly, like I do drink a fair bit of water, but you only need drops, like a couple of drops. Like it actually comes with like an eyedropper sort of thing. Okay, and like I don't even put it in each glass. What I do is like I have a ceramic jug that I fill up once my water is finished being treated. I fill up the ceramic jug, and I fill that with salt, and I put the salt and the iodine into the jug, so it's diluted. Okay, and I also swirl it around and so on. I also mix it because it sort of aerates the water a bit, but sort of it gives it energy, gives the water energy. Okay. You might have seen that those vortex container things that you can get now. You actually it re-energizes the water. Okay. But then once it goes in the fridge, so like I put like maybe 6 small tiny drops into a whole jug, so you don't need a whole lot of this stuff. So this stuff, like this bottle is I think 600 ml. Yeah, 500 ml. And honestly, like I've had this for a couple of years now, and it's still here. It's only like $20. Okay, so it's very cheap, and it lasts you years. You don't need a whole lot of it. Okay. My teeth are stronger now. Good. Yes, they should be. Wisdom teeth are awful with carnivore. Okay. I'm glad to be back on. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I mean, we're all human and we sort of, we fall off the wagon every now and then, I mean, because I've had these teeth come out, I've had like sort of more gaps open up. So flossing is important, I think. Thank you very much, Annabelle. I really appreciate that. I really do. Sometimes I kind of like, I won't say like I've never had, because like going through all that, I also have, quite severe ADHD, especially after treatments because there was so much damage done to my brain as well. I mean, you go through a lot of depression as well. Whenever anyone's sick like that, especially terminally ill, you go through a lot of depression as well. So there weren't. It's not like I didn't. I mean, there were days there, and there were quite a number of them, where I think, well, maybe I would have been better off if I hadn't survived. Because everyone has those days. Like I went through all that only to do what? Like, what's the future going to be like, sort of thing. So, but honestly, like for the most part, like I am really glad that I managed to get through all that, and I have learnt quite a lot actually. It's been great. So I'm working on a chuck roast right now. Cool. Yeah. I've already eaten 4 times from it. Nice. Must be a good size. Yeah. I'm sure I have 2 more meals. Very good. I make it in the crock pot with just a little bit of water. Nice. On the bottom. Cool. It sounds good. Mine don't really last very long. I usually buy like a big pack of meat, and then I eat almost a kilo every day. So plus I have about 10 to 15 eggs a day. Big hug. Good. Yeah. I think that I may like it even more than a ribeye steak. Oh, I think so too. I mean, I've had ribeye before, but honestly, like here, a ribeye is really expensive. It's super expensive. It's crazy expensive. But like you're also paying for the bone as well. So like chuck steak is pretty much the same, but without the bone. So I like it. Planning on watching Dr. Anthony Chaffee's videos about cancer. Oh yeah, he's good. I don't have cancer, of course, but maybe fasting and then eat beef, etc. I'm not able to sleep from the pain. Yeah. I'm not sure, like there's pain management is really difficult. And there's only so much you can do, right? There's always only so much you can do. And depending on your situation, like Jonathan, for example, he's in a constant pain, with his lower back. But pain it's all, I mean, it's all signals from your vagus nerve, right? And like 80% of the signals actually come from your body to the brain. It's not the other way around. You only get like 20% from the brain to the body. So your brain or your vagus nerve reacts to how your body is feeling. The fastest way to hack that, though, is to control your breath. There are other things too, like ice baths help as well, because ice baths or cold showers are really very effective for like lowering inflammation. So that's going to help with the receptors, especially in your body, from like the feedback from your body anyway. But very slow, controlled breathing is one way to help you to sort of manage. Like everyone feels that, when you feel pain, you stub your toe or something, or, even just small pain. You take a deep breath in and slowly release the air out. That instantly will activate your vagus nerve and bring you down to that sort of ventral vagal state where you calm down a bit and you relax. It's about, because a lot of it is tension, like whenever you have, like when I fractured vertebrae in my back when I was in my 20s, late 20s, right? And all the muscles, like especially the rectus spinae group and everything like that, they spasm so tight to try and support the bones when it actually happened, because I hyperextended my back while I was surfing. And most of that pain actually came from the muscle spasms themselves. And it was basically just needed to like control the reaction of what happened, so that's what happens, when you have an injury or you have something that's causing you pain, your body will sort of tense up around it because you sort of get rigid, and that sort of holds the pain in. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean that trying to relax is going to get rid of all the pain, but it does help you manage it. It certainly does help you manage the pain. You try and relax, breathe deeply, breathe slowly, and you also, I mean, there's other benefits as well, like you get more oxygen to the cells and so on. But that helps for the relaxation as well. Plus, you get vasodilators as well, help relax not just the blood vessels, but also the muscles around that area. Like CO2 is a vasodilator, nitric oxide is a vasodilator as well, and that will help to relax those muscles as well. Okay, so not just the blood vessels, but also the muscles. Yeah, Australian tap water is horrible. It is the worst. It is absolutely toxic. So, yeah. My carnivore doctor gave me pain medication. He's gone. Okay. And I was made to go off pain medicine. I'm having a fine needle aspiration in February, and then cortisone injections. Yeah. Um, Panadine, was it Panadine Forte? I think it is. That was a really good painkiller, actually. When I was going through all the treatments and stuff like that, Panadine Forte, I think it is, was, but it was really strong. It's really high in codeine, and they won't prescribe it anymore here in Australia. It used to be just over the counter, but I found that, they made it illegal to get it without a prescription here, because like that was just before 2020. But honestly, I also used it. It was because it was so high in codeine. I used it also to get over colds and flus. It was very quick. Like it would get rid of the colds and flus within a couple of days. Right? It was very, very effective. Very effective. So just coincidentally, it was made illegal to get without a script, and now it's even difficult. It's really difficult to even get your doctor to give you a script for it here in Australia. But it's a very good, strong painkiller. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep now. Okay. All right, dear. You take care. Good night. Yeah, hope you sleep well. Good day. Thank you very much, dear. I really appreciate that. You take care as well. Okay. I hope you have a good night's sleep. I'll try to catch the balance in replay. Very good. Thank you. Those thoughts are very common. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you can only live in pain for so long. You know, depression will always get to you. You know, and you get sick and tired of the pain. You get sick and tired of waking up in the pain and so on. So yeah, there are days where you just feel like, well, and then there's recovering. It's not just recovering from like your health, but also recovering your life. And you sort of think, well, yeah, maybe it wasn't such a good thing to survive sometimes, but that's quite a common thing. And depression is a very common thing with ADHD as well. So I found that this is why breathwork has been such a big help for me as well, controlling my nervous system, um, and of course many other reasons. But it's whenever you are making any kind of progress in life, you automatically feel more positive about it. You feel more positive about life in general when you are making some kind of progress, even small steps, like even just like Barbie doll size steps. Um, it's some progress is a really positive thing. My butcher, my butcher's has tomahawk steaks, cheaper per kilo than T-bone. Oh, okay. That sounds good. Hey, Annabelle. Sorry, I got stuck on the toilet. Fair enough, mate. They said surgery is very dangerous. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes, isn't it? I was on endone and other medicine. Thankfully, I don't have withdrawals. Yeah, I don't like it's the same with the coding and stuff. Like they keep saying like it was because they're drug addicts and stuff like that. I think a lot of that is just horse shit, honestly. I really do. Yeah. I never got addicted to painkillers. I was on a lot of medications. At one stage I was taking 40 plus pills a day. You know, now I'm down to zero pills, zero pills. Very good. That's one of the biggest things I'm really I'm happiest about actually is that over the years when I started out, it was like 40 plus pills a day. Now I'm on zero. Which is you know considering my condition and everything I've gone through, and like all these people around me are on all these different medications. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But it feels fantastic, to be clean. Yeah, I miss being able to do a lot. Yeah, you do. You really do miss being able to do things that you used to do. Like it's not just an aging thing. It's when you because it's not like as you age and you can sure you slow down a bit, but when you just suddenly have it all taken away from you, you really miss all that being able to do these different things. Um, yeah. I try not. I try. I really do. I really do. Even now, like there are things that I miss that I wish I could still do. But I am working towards trying to get back to that. Um, Probably whether it happens or not, who knows? But um, that was one of the hardest things. I was always very fit and active, and then to be stuck in bed, it was like, yeah, that was torture. Mhm. I used to do a lot of guided meditation. Yeah, good when I had really bad skin cancer. Yeah, that helps. I think it really does help. Like I know people like it's think it's meditating and all that sort of stuff is all that sort of woohoo sort of hippie stuff, tree hugger stuff. But honestly, it's much more than that. It's about I mean, sure, people can access different conscious states, you know, um, and whether they like say they meet God or their higher self or whatever else, whatever your beliefs are. But there's so much more to it as well. Like this is like even breathwork. Like breathwork, for example, is not a new thing. This has been tens of thousands of years old. Um, like shamans and like Siberian shamans, and they have these like tent ceremonies where they sweat lodges, kind of like that, like being in a sauna, and they have these kind of like hours long breathwork sessions, and they use it like even like the Plains Indians in America, right? They only ever ate buffalo, right? And their belief was that meat was diet, but breathwork was medicine to them. Like they would have like even when the mother had a newborn baby, they would like the whole village would stay up round the clock to make sure to keep the baby's mouth closed because they trained the child from birth to only breathe through the nose. Okay. Um, all these different, warrior clans and, from around the world, that all of them incorporate breathwork to control their autonomic nervous system, to control not just for state of mind, but also for their health. Like the Japanese samurai, for example, they use hara breathing, not just to, they, sure that they used it for like to build up energy, to become fearless before they go into a battle, but they also used it to stay calm in the battle, to stay and to return to calm after the battle. But they also used it for like a medicine, like their morning rituals, for example. The first thing they do when they get up in the morning, they use these very long, slow, controlled breathing techniques. It was considered medicine to them, and it's like, and even in controlled conditions, like they do it under like freezing cold waterfalls, just like doing ice baths, right? Shaolin monks are the same. They do the exact, very similar stuff. The Viking berserkers, there's, all through Europe, all these different tribes and so on. They all did breath work, for many different reasons. It's incredible stuff. I can walk up and downstairs now. Excellent, very good. I couldn't walk up and downstairs until last year. Oh wow. When I did high fat carnivore. Good girl. Well done. It's good to see you making progress. That's great. Excellent work, Annabella. Very good. It's hard work, Good job. I got roped in to help move a bed. I'm glad it was a quick slide. Oh, that's good, Josephine. Yeah. Yeah. That's the hard thing that's the problem with having friends, friends and family, You always get roped into, moving furniture. I had 0 withdrawals. I wasn't a thing. Good. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, so like I don't know anyone actually I've never actually heard of anyone being addicted to painkillers, honestly. I maybe it does happen, okay, but I think a lot of it is just BS as well. Thank you, Annabelle. Very appreciated. I pray a lot. I could, and do craft and do my best to keep busy. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, like that. That stuff really helped me too. Like when I eventually could move, even though I couldn't move much, when I could start moving, I started doing craft and stuff like that as well. Because, I mean, for many reasons, you need to keep your mind busy. You need to. It also helps you to build concentration skills as well. Because I was coming out of pretty much dementia as well. But also for like motor control, like I because I really had a very difficult time trying to get my arms and legs. They sort of felt like they weren't attached to my body. You know, like it felt really weird not being able to control or being able to move my arms or my legs the way I wanted to. You know, so I took up crafting and different things to help with that as well. And like eventually even took up drum lessons and stuff like that. So that really helped, the coordination exercises and so on. I still have some of the craft stuff. Actually, I'll show you something. Let's move the guitar out of the way. Here's something I built. Let's see. Okay. Okay. You can actually take off the roof here. You have a look inside there. There's lights and candy and all sorts of stuff in there. Yeah. There's a proper roof. So yeah. That sort of kept me busy, like when I was stuck in bed. Still have a few of those things there. Of course, I do a lot of study as well when I can, but that sort of really helped. It really helped me a lot, actually, doing stuff like that. Concentration skills, motor control and stuff like that as well. It was very busy. It was good. I'd love to get fitter, but can't walk much. Yeah, but you really just have to give it time. Like I said, like it's taken me years, like years and years and years, right, to get off the bed to start walking to going back to the gym. Like it took me 5 years to get back to the gym, right? And then years later to really get to the point where I can start taking on more goals. Like this year, actually, this year, like I've really sort of taken on a couple of good challenges that we'll talk more about later. But this is really, I mean, this 11 years later, so try not to get too discouraged. And believe me, I know what it's like. Some days you just feel like, what's the point? So like you feel like you're not getting anywhere or making progress, but you are, and you are making progress, and you will, you will get there. It was threatening to get off blood pressure medicine. Oh yeah, getting off. Even every medication I started dropping, it feels fantastic. It really does. Getting off those medications, and your body feels better for it as well. Because there's a number of reasons why. Obviously, you need medications at the moment, but medications come with a lot of bad problems. They always have side effects, and one of the biggest ones, especially like where it's really hard for me, was the xenoestrogen effects as well, because xenoestrogens, because they're in a lot of things, right? But also in medications. Because xenoestrogens are going to ruin your testosterone production for men and women. Okay, and testosterone will stimulate your kidneys to produce EPO, and EPO will help sort of stimulates your bone marrow to produce blood cells and stem cells, right? White blood cells, red blood cells, and stem cells, right? So that means that if that is lowered, if that stops doing that, that also going to affect your immune system. Okay, so then you just get sicker, right? And so it's a vicious circle. You just keep getting sicker and sicker, even though you're on these medications to try and get better, right? So you really have to be careful of these things. I deal with so much. That's good. My best friend has never heard me laugh. Oh, that's good. I forgot that I used to giggle all the time. I think the fasting was the reason for me getting the giggles. Well, that's good. Well, it's good to hear. Laughter is a good medicine. You know, I don't breathe with my mouth open. Good, excellent. Yeah, it's very important to um, breathe through the nose. I don't know if my mouth is open in my sleep though. Yeah. There's a number of ways you might tell if you're mouth breathing while you're sleeping. For one, if you wake up with a dry mouth, that's one obvious reason. If you need to go to the bathroom, for example, you actually it's not always because you drink too much water beforehand. It's sometimes because you're mouth breathing, because it sends a signal to your brain that you need to go to the bathroom, sort of thing. It's just it's actually kind of a big in-depth sort of thing that I'll talk about another time. But yeah, that affects that as well. If you have a headache, for example, if you wake up with a headache or you wake up with anxiety, if you have because you've been mouth breathing puts you into a sympathetic nervous state, okay, and that will give you anxiety. So if you wake up with anxiety, okay, or you're stressed or anything like that, it's because you've been mouth breathing for the last 7 hours or so, right? So there's a number of ways to tell. There are a number of ways to fix it. Temporary fix. It's really about training your autonomic nervous system, right? If you can train yourself to sleep with your mouth closed, for example, if you use mouth tape, okay, for a while. I don't like using that stuff because you got glues on your lips, sort of thing. So it's kind of, you know, but it's a temporary thing. You just train your autonomic nervous system. You can also get a strap, like a chin strap, to sort of keep your chin strapped up, sort of wraps around your head. It's another good thing you can use as well. Hey, Josephine, welcome back. I've been doing hot and cold. Good. Hot and cold showers, very good. Yeah, excellent. Josephine, good to see you back. Yeah, oh no, I've lost sound. TV crapped itself. Okay. That's not good. I hope you fix it. You're very welcome, Annabelle. You're very welcome. I think it's rare that people get addicted. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's absolutely a load of nonsense, actually. No, it's back. Yeah, that's good. My dad's about to move down to my area. Oh, that's good. This week, properly. Maybe I'll see him more often. Oh, that's good to hear, Jonathan. Yeah. Yeah. I'm editing your novel. Oh, okay, very good. I'm doing the same. I'm editing another. Well, I'm working on 2 at the moment, but yeah, I'm editing at the moment as well. Editing my novel. I can't always write every day. Yeah, it's frustrating because I would like to do more. I need to remind myself that I'm doing my best. Yeah, that's a good point, Annabella. Like, all you can do is your best on any given day. Okay, so don't be too hard on yourself. I know it's you're always sort of like, oh, I've got to get this done. I've got to get this done, sort of thing. That's always in the back of your head. But yeah, you have to be realistic as well. So that's good. Are you very musical? I don't. I mean, yeah, I can play a little bit of drums. I can play a little bit of piano. I can play a little bit of guitar. So not really very musical, I guess. But I like music, so that's about it. What's well? Yeah, it's good to hear your dad's moving up there, mate. I'm sorry. What's well, Jonathan? Awesome. Just oh, okay. Oh, the craft thing. Oh, okay. It's amazing. I love your Christmas decorations, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we all the Christmas decorations we just make ourselves. Like I make little wooden bird houses and stuff like that, and little, yeah. I prefer handmade sort of Christmas ornaments. It's yeah, yeah. It's fun too. Like doing these little craft sort of projects. When you've got the time, it's a fun thing. Physio too. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, it can help. How the hell does an ADHD gentleman have that level of patience? Did you make it in blocks of time? It was definitely, yeah, definitely in blocks of time, mate. Actually, it's actually, to be honest, that is one thing. Actually, you can lose a lot of time. Like one thing you do, another thing you do get with ADHD is you get time blindness, right? So I could actually spend, a number of hours doing that. Um, so I don't know. It's just I quite enjoy doing, making things with my hands. I've always enjoyed kind of making things, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, it can be a struggle sometimes, but I don't know. For some reason, that was one thing that it kind of had a calming thing as well. It's kind of because you have to really focus on that, and that which is difficult, but it's kind of like meditating, I guess. You know, so yeah, yeah. So, I'll show you I've got a few of them actually. I actually got a few of them, but they're like you can stick some lights in there as well. Like that, just there, so you can sort of do a whole style sort of thing. These are kind of fun. Kind of fun. But yeah, make quite a few things actually. This one's not bad. Sure. Hey, please. Here's a here's another one. Yeah. So yeah, little fruit shop. So, that all sort of comes apart as well. Yeah. Yeah. So there are a few of those. I don't know. It's one of those things that focusing on that wasn't too difficult actually. Strange. Oh, you're very welcome. In my mind, I'm well, but my body isn't there yet. Yeah, that's a good thing. Like it is a struggle to try and sort of bring them into balance, of course. Um, but when at least you are thinking well, and you are. I mean, I've always had this, even from when I was young. I've always had this one belief. This one belief I've had since I was a teenager, actually, that the body will do whatever the mind tells it to. Okay, as long as you believe it. Okay, your body will follow your mind. All right. So no matter what it is you want to do, I truly believe that if your body will do whatever your mind tells it to. You know. So I guess it's worked for me. I've gotten here. So that's a good thing. I tend to be exhausted because I can't always sleep yeah. Yeah, I know what that's like. It's a struggle to to get your sleep patterns right, and You wake up in pain, or pain. Even if you do finally get like into a nice deep sleep, the pain will wake you up. Um, it's a struggle. It's just like Jonathan. He sort of he micromanages his sleep patterns as well. Like, so he'll sleep at different times of the day and just nap, sort of thing. You do what you can when you can do it. Like, it's really um, it's one of those things. You just have to do what you can now, and then hopefully later on, what you can do will get better. You know, Might by saying some. I wonder if they want to control us. It seems there's so much corruption with the doctors. Yeah, yeah. It's like it's a medical industry. It is. I mean, there's so much. There's just so much. Yeah, the whole world is honestly like it's exhausting at times. It really is. It is absolutely exhausting. There's just so much BS in the world. You know. Um. It's just, I don't know, people, even like these influencers on YouTube and stuff like that. It's too much to take sometimes, because it's just like so much BS. Honestly, I miss the Christmas fairy lights. Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, Josephine. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Make a whole town up. Actually, I've probably got enough there to make a town. Actually, yeah, yeah, probably could do that. Probably could do that. You know, yeah. Same, some days 3 hours go by, other days 1 minute, I'm done. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all relative, isn't it? It's like it's just the way it is, I guess. Do you think Queenslanders are addicted to pineapple? I think people are, generally speaking, are addicted to pineapple. It's just, it's sweet. It's really sweet and juicy. Yeah, so I just lit some pineapple candles. If I could eat pineapple on carnival, I would. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is not to do it all the time. Every now and then it's fine. It's not going to hurt you that much, right? Just don't do it all the time. Like, I do miss that kind of stuff as well myself, actually, because pineapple is really nice food. It tastes nice, and it's very sweet. And mangoes, yeah, yeah, mangoes are great too. Yeah, but it's just once in a while, maybe not too bad, but it's just not worth it, really. You know, yeah, try fasting. Yeah, that's good. How is it ethical to let to let people suffer so much? Yeah. God, carnival. Yeah, well, it's not ethical, is it? It's not ethical to let people suffer so much. That's. I mean, it's not everyone, of course. It's not everyone in industry. Like, these doctors, a lot of them just don't know what they're doing. And like, for me, for the most part, I was pretty much just an experiment for most of them. Especially going through the clinical trial and um, the stem cell transplant. It was basically, they would just treat me. They figured I didn't have long to live anyway, so they just experimented on me. But it's not every one of them in the industry or in the hospitals, and they think they're doing their best. They think they're doing. A lot of them do think they're doing their best to help people. But the industry itself and corporations, they're just pure evil, and that's all it is. There's nothing ethical about it. They are pure evil, and it's the corruption goes all in, like, politicians and all the rest of it. Yeah. How do I do the cold baths? Um, just give me a sec, Ash. I'm just gonna get something. So I just had someone calling on my phone. Um, okay, so how do I do cold baths? I do a cold bath every morning without fail. Okay, that's my non-negotiable. First thing when I get up, um, I have I have a portable one, tub one at the moment, with has a cooler that gets down to about 2 degrees. But I also have in my freezer, I have 11, like the 2 liter milk containers. Like people that like when my folks drink milk, I don't throw them away. I fill them up with water and I freeze them in the freezer. So I have at least 20 to 22 kilos of ice in my bath every morning. Um, the water itself has a lot of salt in it. I always put um, I have a hand harvested sea salt, and I also have magnesium salts, bath salts, and I have that in the water as well. So it's tank water, so it's just rainwater, and it's mixed with salt. It's very strong salt. It's just like being in the ocean. Um, and I sit in there for at least 10 to 20 minutes. You don't need to sit in there for that long. I just really enjoy it. I just really enjoy an ice bath. I find it very calming. I When you do it, when you do even in a cold shower, whether it doesn't matter if it's cold shower or ice bath, the the key to doing that is to control your breathing. You want slow, deep, controlled breaths, and that will calm your nervous system while you are that in itself, you are training your autonomic nervous system to deal with that stressor. So you are training your nervous system to respond in stressful situations, to breathe properly, to remain calm. So that is something that you need to do. Like that's why another big reason why I do this every single day. Um, of course, there are other benefits. All right, and the ice bath or any cold therapy stimulates brown adipose tissue. Okay, or they call BAT. Now, brown adipose tissue has a number of great benefits. It actually takes glucose from your blood faster than even tumor cells can take it. Okay, cancer and tumor cells absolutely feast on blood glucose. Okay, but if you activate your brown adipose tissue, it's actually been proven to take up the glucose away from the tumor cells, so which means it's going to actually starve the tumors. Okay. Um, But apart from that, though, in brown adipose tissue, you actually create uh, more healthy cells. You create more mitochondria. Okay, so stimulate, which you can't do outside of the cold. Right, if you're comfortable all the time, you don't stimulate the brown adipose tissue. Another thing that cold therapy does is that it actually will brown or tan white adipose tissue. So you get what's called beige adipose tissue. Okay. So you're producing more brown adipose tissue. And the white adipose tissue is your visceral fat. You get rid of the visceral fat and stuff as well. So you also stimulate the body to metabolize more fat. You stimulate the lymphatic system to circulate more as well, um, which moves fat tissue. Okay, your visceral fat. Okay, um, So you metabolize more fat. Um, you also will do what you also do is that you release D3 and testosterone, because testosterone and D3 are stored in fat cells, okay, but predominantly the brown adipose tissue, and that release into your blood system. Okay, there's actually a good interview of Sarah Pugh did recently. Actually, actually the mitochondria actually create their own light as well. So you get like a D3, a very good D3 effect from cold baths, right? Ice baths. So it is very good for stimulating for D3 production, or not just D3 production, but the release of D3 from the fat cells into your blood. Okay, and testosterone, which is important for both men and women. Okay, it's also very, very good for thyroid function, okay, because it reduces inflammation as well, and very good for thyroid function. Um, and testosterone, again, like I said, it stimulates the kidneys to produce more EPO and more blood cells from your bone marrow and so on. So it's a very, very good stressor for your body that will stimulate growth, recovery, pain relief, and all sorts of other problems that, it is very, very important. Actually, it's very good. So we're not used to we're not meant to be comfortable all the time. Like we've only had warm, hot and cold, hot showers for the last 100 years or so. Not even that long. Some places still don't. You know, Coolest train track ever. Ah, if you know what I mean. Train track. I'm not sure I do. I'm not sure I do. Yeah. Um, the pineapple thing, the Pineapple Express. Is that what you're talking about, Josephine? The Pineapple Express? Yeah. I don't eat fruit now. Yeah, no, me either. I actually, I used to love fruit. It's one of the, I absolutely love it. Stone fruits, especially. But no, 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 no. Very bad. Especially like today's fruit. It's not natural fruit anyway. It's all man-made stuff. It's disgusting. I mean, it's not disgusting. It's delicious, but you know, only with my wisdom tooth. Live fruit, but it hates me. Yeah, yeah, it really does. It's not good for you, especially all year round. Mandy, how you doing? Good to see you. Sorry, late joining. I'll replay later and catch up. Thank you. I appreciate it. Lamb leg cooking smells amazing. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, lamb's fantastic. I love lamb. Lamb's great. Lamb is the one of the best fats too. But 10 times the omega-3s than that beef has, and it's just delicious. Thank you, Annabelle. I appreciate that. I did a special cold sheet treatment. Oh, good. Where I had friends help me. You induce a massive fever. Well, doesn't sound very good. And then wrap a cold sheet over you, and then you put blankets on. Okay, I did twice. Yeah, it can halve tumors. Oh, okay. Okay, so basically you're doing a heat cold contrast, right? So you can do the same with like a shower. So you could have a hot cold shower, right? Um, that's one of the great things about, like, after the first thing I do after ice bath though is breath work. Okay, that will heat the body, so especially like breath of fire or like priming or any kind of activation breath work is going to help uh, really build the heat up in the body, like from the inside out. Um, but I like doing a lot of breath holds afterwards, because I've already stimulated like testosterone, for example, D3 and other things, brown adipose tissue and so on. But with breath work, now you are mobilizing all of that. You're mobilizing the lymphatic system, you're mobilizing all that brown adipose tissue. You also stimulate hypoxia inducible factors with the breath holds, right? And that also stimulates the kidneys to produce more EPO. In fact, after about 3 hours after your last breath hold, prolonged breath hold, you'll get a peak of EPO production, and it depending on how well you did this, like how long your health your breath hold was for, you can actually produce up to 30, I think it's 25 or 30% more EPO, with the peak being about 3 hours after your last prolonged breath hold, which is a huge amount of EPO. So that means a lot more blood cell production and stronger immune system and so on. Yeah. Thanks for showing your creation. I used to make theme parks out of paper. Oh, cool. Yeah. No, you're most welcome, my man. Yeah. I mean, like I originally, like I took them up for doing these things for a number of reasons. Like I talked about before, like motor skills and concentration skills and stuff like that. But it's actually very enjoyable. It's actually a lot of fun. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't really watch a lot of people actually. Um, I have listened to Bigman in the past, and yeah, like he's pretty good with most things. Yeah, not everything, but yeah, most things. He is very good. Yeah. Oh, cool. Diamond painting. Oh, you're most welcome, Annabelle. I'm always happy to explain this stuff. There's yeah, I don't mind just telling people this stuff for free because it's like yeah, it's really just about helping people to navigate this sort of stuff. And I do these things for a reason. There's always a reason why I do these things, right? I tend to get these every now and then you get these half wits that say, oh, this doesn't work, then carnivore doesn't work, and all this sort of stuff. Like, well, like what more proof do you need? Like, I'm here. Look how healthy I am now. Look how much I can do now compared to 11 years ago. Um, you're not going to get much more proof, right? Um, but it is what it is, and that's just the way it is. But um, yeah, it's my pleasure to be able to help someone like yourself, Annabelle, if I can. So, yeah, sure. Bedtime routine. Um, like usually I sleep between 8 or 9 p.m. Okay. Um, the hours between 8 and 12 are very important to sleep. Um, there have been a number of studies, however true these studies are, but they believe that the hours between 8 and 12, every hour that you sleep before 12 is like sleeping. It's like sleeping 2 hours, right? Um, and I usually up about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I always do a down regulating breath session, even if it's just for 5 minutes, because you really don't need a lot of time to bring yourself down into that ventral vagal state where you can just relax, not sort of like collapse the body sort of thing. But even when I'm in bed, like I'll just lie down, and if and I will always do or make sure I do at least 5 minutes of down regulating breathing, and I'll slow it down. Sometimes I'll get it. So like I might start at say cardiac coherent, where it's 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and then I'll extend it to 6 seconds, then 7 seconds, then 8 seconds, and sometimes I'll bring it down all the way down to one breath per minute. That is very, very relaxing, not just for my mind, very relaxing for my mind, but my whole body just relaxes. I have a grounding sheet on my bed. Okay, so I'm grounded while I'm sleeping. Um, I used to use a chin strap to train myself to sleep with my mouth closed, but it's not such a problem anymore. And generally speaking, unless I'm doing a live like I'm doing tonight, I use these blue light blockers. Okay, like this. And I turn off the lights, and sometimes I'll just use either candle light, or I have a red light bulb in a lamp. So, but that's about it. Yeah. That would be cool to hear. Mine's been sketchy recently. Not bad. Cool to hear. What would be cool to hear, bro? I grew up in Stanthorpe. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's not too far. You know how they grow. Yeah. Stanthorpe apples and all sorts of fruit comes from Stanthorpe in Australia. Mm. I've been doing lamb shank. Oh, nice lamb shanks. Yeah, it's really kind of it's hard. Like, lambs are really cute. They're super cute, but it's a shame they're just so damn tasty and healthy. Yeah. Uh, Cold sheet treatment is really full on. Yeah, it's really intense. Yeah, that sounds pretty intense. Like to induce a fever, for example, like contrast is good though. Like if you have the equipment, for example, like this stuff is getting cheap. Actually, you don't really need to spend a lot of money on like an ice bath is actually very cheap now. Okay. Um, and same with like saunas. Like you can get portable saunas and so on, and even red lights. Even there's red light saunas now are actually getting pretty cheap. Um, so like, but do like the traditional like Europeans or even Japanese do like you sit in an onsen, for example, or a like hot spring, or a sauna, and then go sit in the snow. Like you do the heat treatment first, and then do the cold treatment. And that's a very ancestral way of living. We've done that for many thousands of years. You know, um, it's part of our environment. It's part of our history. Um, but there are ways that you can simulate that. Like I said before, that you have a hot shower and finish with a cold shower. And you'll find that is actually just as effective without being so intense. Have a bath with a cayenne pepper, mustard powder, and ginger. Um, you have the water really hot and drink 5 to 7 cups of herbal tea. My goodness. You'll get a huge emotional release. Yeah. The cold sheets feel nice. Yeah. I mean, I think what you're doing there, because you're inducing that fever, right? You sort of bringing yourself into an altered state, like consciously. Yeah. So you have a big emotional release. Yeah. You can do the same thing with breath work, actually. Um, breath work is used very often for that. In fact, to release trauma and so on. Mm. Actually, I did a breathwork session recently with a young lady, and honestly, like she had such an emotional response. Like she was crying for hours afterwards because she just had this huge emotional release. You know, so you can really do very effective, sort of trauma release with breath work. I guess ancestrally we used to create a lot of tools. Yeah, that's right. Nowadays it's all made for us. So I suspect it's part of our DNA to find solutions and invent new things. Yeah, I think so too. I think you know, um, have a look at like every culture around the world too. There's always a very colorful, very creative side of it. They all have paintings, like even from hunter gatherer, like cave paintings and so on. We always have this creative side. Um, like even traditional Asian buildings and traditional European buildings. You go to Sweden and places like that. It's beautiful. Even the UK, like beautiful log cabins, and you know, we're all very creative in our own way, and then for different things. And we certainly today these days have lost a lot. We've lost, because of convenience, I guess. It's and trying to keep pace with today's modern society and stuff like that, I guess, too. It used to be that we just walk out into the forest or somewhere and just cut down a few trees and start building a house. Yeah, kind of what didn't work for me. I think, well, what's the better option, if any? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's the better option then? you know I need to get better with the sleep schedule. Yeah, I mean, this is I think routine is really important. I always say this because it's if if the routine falls apart, so does everything else does. The diet falls apart. You stop going to the gym, or you stop exercising, or you stop doing all these things like to keep you healthy, right? So I think it's really important to make a routine. It can be difficult to stick to it, but it's like anything. You build up to it. You do what you can, and then eventually it gets better, right? It's like developing a habit, because I think habits, even healthy habits or bad habits, they all start with a routine. Doesn't matter whether the routine is good or healthy or bad. This is where the habits start, right? So if you make yourself a routine and stick to that, that routine later becomes habit. And it's the habits that make you either successful or unsuccessful at what you do in life, right? So that's where I think if you fall off the routine, everything else falls apart. So just try and stick to that. A few times I've chucked on DC's videos during the night, and it keeps me accountable in a way, knowing someone else out there is consciously achieving something through better sleep. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's not always perfect, but right. Yeah. How does the grounded sheet work? Oh, okay. Um, well, it does plug into a PowerPoint, but it only plugs into the grounding point. Okay, not the positive point. So it sort of grounds through because your house is always grounded, because otherwise you wouldn't have electricity. Okay, so you always have a grounding point in your power plug. It doesn't run on any electricity, doesn't anything like that. You do have to be careful not to put anything live, like any live power on the sheet, because then you might electrocute yourself, right? Because once you're grounded and you add power to it, then zap. Okay, but no, generally it doesn't cost any electricity or anything like that. It connects to the grounding point on your PowerPoint, and you have a little. Actually, I've got a small one here under my desk. This is a small one under my desk. I'll show you. Now the grounding sheet is actually cotton. So like everything even my clothes, I always try to wear as much natural clothes as possible. One, because it's much cooler. Okay, it keeps your body cooler, which is great for training and everything else. But also because with man-made materials like polyester and stuff like that, it's you actually absorb those xenoestrogens in through the skin, and that just screws you up really badly. But this is the little one that I have underneath my desk for my feet, and it just plugs in, just clips on here like that, and that keeps my feet grounded while I'm sitting here talking to you good people. But the one on my bed, it covers it's just like an undersheet, okay? And I put a sheet over the top of that anyway, but it's cotton with I think it's laced with silver, okay? And it's just plugs in the same way, just it costs no electricity or anything like that. It's very, they're a little bit. I don't think they're really that expensive. Mine, I mean, the set I got a queen size bed sheet, okay, and the one under my desk for $200. So I don't think it's really that expensive, and it keeps you grounded while you're sleeping and stuff like that as well. So it's really cool. I think you were talking about your sleep routine. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some blanket RLT saunas. Yeah, that's right. It's something like portable saunas for like £200. Yeah, over in the UK, you can get them for like $400 here in Australia. $300-400 for a sauna. Yeah, like I mean, they're just there's not much to them, but still do the job. That stuff's getting pretty cheap. I do that with my shower, hot and cold. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That contrast in itself, that is pretty much all the heat and cold therapy you really need. You don't really need a lot through the day, honestly. Yeah, about $400. I was very sick with chronic fatigue syndrome back then. Yeah, chronic fatigue is a nightmare as well, and I found carnivore sooner. Yeah, well, like I said, Annabella, like it's all shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's you're doing what you can now, and that's what's important. Try not to, think about. I mean, it would have been great, I would, like if I was like Rick, if I had started doing this when I was 15 years old, that would have been fantastic. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. There's nothing you can do about that. So, CFS 3. CFS is multifactorial for me. Yeah. A lot of it. I suspect. I should take these off and read a bit better. I suspect is due to trauma and my environment. Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a good book called "The Body Keeps the Score." So your nervous system actually holds on to trauma. Okay, it will, and it will continue to hold on to it unless you train your nervous system. All right, and that's where breathwork comes in, because you need to. It's like PTSD. Okay, like PTSD is pretty much the same as the trauma, like after your accident with the CFS and things like that. But controlling that, like to let go of trauma, to let go of these actions, like breathwork is fantastic. It's the only conscious way that we can access that part of our nervous system. Okay, because it's all automatic otherwise. Right? There have been, I mean, it's just a mouse study, but there was a mouse study done that showed that trauma from that happened to one mouse actually lasted 7 generations. So that mouse's child had the same trauma, had the same um, like nervous reaction, okay, because of the mother's trauma, and it got passed down to 7 generations of mice. And it's, I mean, a lot of us say that we actually hold on to trauma not just from our life, but also from our parents' life. All right, so we actually carry around our parents' trauma as well, and sometimes their parents and their parents. But accessing your nervous system and regulating your nervous system, the only conscious way to do that is to, these hormetic stresses for a starter, and breathwork is the only conscious way to access that. So yeah, there are ways that this can help. Yeah. Can you use mattress toppers with? Yes, you can. I mean, I have a mattress topper, but I have the grounding sheet on top of the mattress topper. Okay, and then I have my sheet over the top of that. So yeah, it's good. Actually, that really helped a lot with my sleep. Actually, the grounding sheet. Mm. Yeah, I only use cotton. I mean, I do have some bamboo clothes as well. Hemp clothing is really good too. I used to have the but it's kind of expensive. You know, like hemp clothing and bamboo. Bamboo is not so bad, but hemp is really expensive. Cotton is very good. I think it's very light, very breathable, very comfortable. So it's very good. You're very welcome, Annabelle. Anytime. Um, they have the be in contact with you through either sweat or directly. Imagine a mat under a single layer bed sheets would work. Yeah, I think so. I've just got like one, like it's just the sheet and then like then the grounding sheet. Yeah, I've got the mattress topper underneath the grounding sheet, so it works well. I would put mine under my bed sheets, but it would probably irritate my carer who changed the sheets. Oh, okay, fair enough. She wouldn't say that. Yeah, maybe make it a little bit more difficult, wouldn't it? Yeah. That sounds cool. That was my daughter trying to help moving things. Oh, okay, moving things around. Yeah. Family. Yeah. I'm so grateful for Carnival. Yeah. Very much so. And like, people, we always overcomplicate everything. Like everything is already provided for us. Nature has given us everything we need. And humans are just arrogant enough to think that we can make our own food, and stupid enough to think that it's healthy enough to eat. Crazy. I find that book. I haven't heard of it. Odd enough things. Oh, you're most welcome, mate. I think it's. I have to check. Actually, it's the body keeps the score. I think it's called. I'll look it up. Hang on a second. Let's check it. Just make sure. Yeah. Brain, mind, and body, and in the healing of trauma, the body keeps the score. Yeah, it's a book by Bessel van der Kolk. I think he's a Dutch guy, but yeah, it's all about getting rid of trauma. Okay, and it's very good. It's a very good book. Yeah, so I have to ring my mum. I'll be back again. No worries, then. I'm going to take care. The body keeps the score. Yeah, brain, mind, and body. Healing under trauma. So, yeah, that's it. That's the one, mate. The girls are out on the chat at the moment. Oh, yep. Sleep better naked. I think that's actually documented in some studies. Oh, I'll have a look. Yeah. Cool. You sleep better naked. Yeah, well, I think it's basically your sheets are your underwear, right? Yeah, I think I think the best thing is like no matter what if you no matter what you wear, um, you have to be as comfortable as possible as well. Like very relaxed, being able to be very comfortable. Sort of thing. I have Um, like again, I only wear cotton, but like my pants are really super baggy, just light cotton pants that I you don't even sweat. It's really really very cool to wear. So I find it very easy. Deeper slow wave REM sleep, yeah, benefits from thermoregulation studies. Yeah, no direct naked RCTs. Okay, best room. Yeah, I prefer a cool room as well. I've got the air conditioning on, right? Well, I have to change camera. Hang on a second. Camera up. All right, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, I think temperature has a big difference, makes a big difference to your sleep. Like I have the air conditioning going right now. Um, yeah, but I mean, it's so difficult to sleep when you're hot and sweating and so on. So I think temperature has a very big part of it, actually. Lower yeast infection risk, yeah. Less moisture, that's right. Yeah. Minor brown fat activation, yep. Exactly. More, oxytocin, yep. Skin contact, yeah. Reduce skin irritation. Yeah. Cool. Currently wearing my meat militia. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, cool. Hey Jasmine. How you doing? Yeah. Yeah, actually that's a good point. You know, like temperature has a very big effect on your sleep, whether you're gonna have a good sleep or not. And I much prefer cooler temperatures, of course. And like you say, even minor brain adipose tissue activation and so on. It's all beneficial, isn't it? Um, I think like especially again, like air conditioning and stuff like that is cool. It's good. But we never really had these. We never really had much in the way of heat, in the way like a few hundred years ago, except for a fireplace. And fires are good, in winter. But it was always still cold, wasn't it? And you know, you, I think good thing about having a fireplace too. Fire is like a natural red light, so sort of help you sleep. You always get sleepy when you're sort of watching a fire, don't you? Yeah. So that's another reason why I like candles as well. So, um, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Uh, oh well. Do we have any more questions? Otherwise, I might head off. It's been a couple of hours, so almost 2.5. But I'm happy to answer any more questions if you have any. So, let me see. Just put that down a bit. There we go. So we've got some big. Actually, there's a. Well, I was talking about before in Japan. Um, Hopefully, I'm thinking next time I go back, I want to go to this temple in Yamadera again, and do that. That you can do that like a 3-day sort of monk experience, sort of thing, like meditate with the monks and under the waterfalls and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, kind of expensive though. No worries, man. Jonathan, always happy to be here and talk with you guys, and really thank you for joining in the chat. I really appreciate it. I have a silly cat. No candles here. Yeah, yeah. That can be a problem. Yeah, yeah. It is actually. Yeah, there is. It's a beautiful place. I've been in a number of times, but yeah. Actually, I'll put in the if you do a Google search, Yamadera, it's like Yamed, Yamadera, ERA, in like Ramaji. Well, Ramaji is what they use, like Roman alphabet for Japanese words. But beautiful place, fantastic temple, and yeah, looking forward to going back there. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. And look, I hope you all have a great day or night wherever you are. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you again. I've got a couple more. Oh, hello there. Good morning. I've got a couple more lives coming up. I've got let me see, on the weekend and then next week, and then so I'll try and keep this as regular as possible. Okay. So, but if you have any questions, like without, whether it doesn't have to be on the live while I'm live or anything like that, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments, and I'm happy to help and answer any questions that you might have. Okay. Thank you, Josephine. I hope you have a great day or night. So yeah, like, I hope you all take care. Okay. Like, just the start of 2026 is going to be a big year, and I wish you all very much the very best for it. So take care. All right. Bye bye. Stay strong.